August. He has some things he's got to take care of. We'll let him off the hook for that one. We have a guest, but first I'm going to quickly talk about our Patreon memberships. We got the Alpha members that we read out every single show we have. Jeff Frank, Bruce Willis, Barbarian Arm Wrestling, Ready Go Garb, Brian Kerner, and Ready Go Solutions. So my guest today is a man that needs no introduction to the hardcore arm wrestling fan. But for the new crop of fans, he's just getting back into it and might need a little bit of an introduction. So Mr. Don Hollywood Underwood. What do you go by these days, Don?
Pretty much anything, man. If you're calling for me, I'll look. Just Big Don Hollywood from time to time, depending on who we're talking to.
Right on. So what have you been up to, man? Like, it's been a long time since we talked.
It's been a bit. I'm just trying to get my feet under me the proper way. I ran the arm wrestling circuit for 20 years on sponsors, and I didn't have a lot of responsibility. So I took it to the extreme as far as I could. 3 years ago, I was blessed with a baby girl, so I changed my direction. After Game of Arms, took some time off, and I didn't make the best decisions in the world, but with this baby coming around, it changed my direction. Like I said, got my feet under me, fell in love with arm wrestling again, and just trying to climb this mountain again. It's a big hill to climb, but working hard and providing for a family, man, that's kind of what I'm doing now.
Well, that's what was going to be my eventual direction I was going to go in the show, is to figure out like what happened after Game of Arms was there. Arguably, Don Underwood was as popular as he's ever been, and then kind of just disappeared for a while.
Well, it was my own demons, to tell you the truth. I don't hide from any of my past. I've got a heck of a story. You know as well as I do, when a bunch of friends get together, celebrating is one of the things that we do. I made some bad decisions in my life. When I was 22 years old, I tried, how old was it? 24 years old. I tried drugs for the first time, and they stuck with me for a long time. Hiding that from, people and competing was something that I was very good at. But it finally caught up to me. You can only go so far in this world and living two different lives. And the dark side of that is rough. You find yourself at the bottom with not a lot or nobody to talk with. You kind of separate yourself from society, and that's what I did. And again, having a little girl woke me up and gave me a purpose, a new direction. Therefore, stepping back into arm wrestling, just happened. Like I say, when you hide from everybody, you don't go to those things. So I did finally go to something and realize, wow, I forgot how much I loved it. And so, yeah, man, just climbing out of a hole. Been sober and drug free for quite a long time now, and world's beautiful, man. Like I said, if you have issues like that, especially in this world, you can reach out to the people that love you, and believe me, there's tons of love out there for you, whether you think so or not. You just have to, ask for help if you can't do it yourself. And I've been, this arm wrestling world is amazing. I have every opportunity to reach out to anybody if I ever have an issue, and yeah, there's a bunch of love out there. So it's awesome.
So what is it that brought you back to the sport? And what was the first time you came back?
Well, I came back. Ryan Johnson called me for a tournament, wanted me to come pull Cody. I hadn't pulled in about 4 or 5 years. Went and pulled him, and I really thought he'd just, pull me right over. And I was actually relatively still pretty strong. So I was like, well, man, if I can beat this guy that's doing so good in the sport, maybe I should give it another try. Started training with the Arnolds and took third behind Marcio and Robbie Burnett, which is some pretty good names in the sport. I had never lost to those guys up to that point. So I think losing to those guys drove me, said, hey, man, if I can get to third, why didn't I win again? And you know what it feels like to be on that stage in the finale.
Yeah. Well,
how bad it sucks taking second, third, whatever the case, how much it drives you to want to be better. So the big stage of the Arnold's taking third. That slapped me in the face pretty good. But it also gave me a thought that, hey, if I can compete at that level after tearing myself down, not training for that amount of time, that I might actually be pretty good at this. And what can a healthy Don Underwood accomplish? Because I never was. I was always drinking, doing something.
That's an interesting thought, man, because back then, I think people don't realize just how good you were before you stepped away from the sport for a little while, and how good you could become now that you're on the right path. And
it's a big question mark.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think people appreciate that, though. I mean, I'm pulling up on the screen right now. We're showing the top 3 at the Arnold Classic from 2010, and we're standing there with Stallone. But I mean, we have yourself, me, and Devin Larratt, and that's the order. It's Don Underwood first place, myself in second, Devin Larratt in third, which I think was a shock to many. Probably a shock that you won, probably equally a big a shock that I got second at that particular tournament.
Yeah, that was interesting. I remember it like it was yesterday. It's one thing I didn't lose with my memory. I mean, conversations, I don't know. I'm blessed with remembering a lot of things, especially good things and how they happened. That was interesting. It kind of goes back to my story. We had been out, I believe it was me, Luke Kent, and Robbie Topi, and we burned it up, man, till like 4 or 5 in the morning, right? So a couple hours of sleep, got up, felt pretty good. I guess I was probably still inebriated, but, focused enough to get there. And I remember the day one, Devin fouled out to you.
Well, I think what happened was you actually took a loss to him first.
I fouled out to Devin.
Yes.
He fouled out to you day one. So we both had a loss. You were undefeated in the final.
Yes.
We had a pretty good tug. I think watching some of those videos and listening to the reaction of the crowd was shocking to people. I was very strong. But I ended up fouling out. But I remember loading with Devin, and Devin being the Devin he is, which is kind of arrogant and cocky. And I remember him posting with me, and I started to climb and work him back, and I got some real estate on him. Day 2, he was my first match. So we slipped, went to the strap, and I thought in my head, if I show this guy this load that I did yesterday and I'm climbing on, I'm going to act like I'm going to do that with him and show him that just where he could probably outlast me. So I focused on that. At about the time the G came out, I fired straight side and got a flash pin with him, Shocked me, definitely shocked him, the arm wrestling world. They're trying to get every angle in the world to prove that I didn't. 2 referees, both verified. And then you and I had a pretty damn good finale tug, if I remember correctly. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, coming off the B side and kicking my ass twice in the final, and
you made it very, very tough. That is, to say, I've been pretty successful in this sport as far as winning, traveling, and doing things. Accomplishments in this sport, are endless. But until you not only get on the main stage of the Arnold's and compete, but to win that thing is just, there's no words,
Yeah, the Arnold is a very special thing too.
Stair,
yeah,
weeping, because I've never been one to just go, "Hey, Don, you can do it." I've always doubted myself, and that's something you just have to learn to get around. I didn't realize how good I was, I guess. But I guess I ended up being pretty good.
Pretty damn good. And you never realize how special the Arnold's is going to be, because we didn't know that Sylvester Stallone was going to be on stage presenting us awards. And we had no idea that Randy Couture would show up in previous years, or Arnold would walk on stage and shake my hand after a match I had with somebody. Like it's always a surprise and a weird thing that happens. And then I remember you and I drinking beer out in the street of Columbus after the tournament, just standing on the sidewalk. And that was a good time. That was a good memory.
Yeah, you can't replace, and that's what draws, I think, or drew me more so, and it still does. I just don't pick up the alcohol. Yeah. You know, my fellowship is as good as it's ever been without picking a drink up. I just totally enjoy the time that I get to spend. For instance, we was at a tournament a couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks, here, the NatFit tournament here in Kansas City. And I got to share some time with Cody Merritt. And Cody kind of put it in a nutshell for me. I talked a little bit about him on another podcast that I had. He called me and wanted to thank me for the kind words. One, which is spectacular. Two is he had mentioned to me that 2 years ago, which I was still using at the time, that's the match that I first pulled him at. He was uncertain about who I was. He could tell something wasn't right about me, and just told me just how big of a difference that he saw in me. And that shook me up inside, because that's the arm wrestling world. One, Cody's an amazing person. If you don't know him, take the time to go shake his hand, because he's an ambassador for the sport. Genuinely good guy, and can show you, he can show you how to lose to him real easy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's for sure. But it meant a lot to me. So, yeah, the fellowship in the sport, man, just the people involved is spectacular. And little things like having a beer on the street, man, as small as it is, we don't forget those times, and it's really huge in our lives.
Yeah.
So the sport does mean a lot to folks, and that's what draws me back, man, just the people involved.
Yeah. So you mentioned Cody, and I was going to bring this photo up later. This is a photo. Well, let's go way. Man, we're going for a walk down history here, a walk down memory lane. 2002 World Championships in Springfield.
Wow.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Cody Merritt was there.
I don't remember.
He looked quite a bit different.
I remember he had tall and skinny, if I remember correctly, blonde hair.
Tall and skinny, and big personality, nice guy as usual. I'm showing this photo on the screen now. In this photo, you're wearing like a leopard print or some kind of shirt, full head of hair.
Hey, man.
You got it?
I'm certain that I looked amazing in it.
You did.
And
you got
I remember, I didn't know that was in spring. That shirt, it's funny. I don't know where I got it. It was some free shirt along the way that I liked it 1 minute or so. And then it ended up sticking to my wardrobe. But I remember a funny story about that. I went to a bar and was hitting on this chick, and she said something about my shirt, and I said something about Armani, and she pulled the tag out and it said Route 66. So yeah, that's a Kmart special that I look damn good in. Well, I was a little fella then.
That's a memory, man, because that was literally probably 3 minutes after I won the world championship that photo was taken. And there's Earl Wilson and Mark Zalepa in the background.
There's Earl. Yeah.
Yeah. That was something else, man. That was a good memory.
Time, man. That was a hell of a tournament. I think I ended up third or fourth of that event. Fourth. I'm really good at taking fourth at world championships. By the time we get to the finale, I'm usually pretty well settled into some alcohol. So shame on me. But good job.
Yeah, you know what?
You kicking some tail, man.
I remember you sharing some of the stuff that you had on hand that day. And
I'm always good at that.
I have a history in my early years of celebrating to excessive levels, and I'm happy to say that I don't do that anymore, because
it doesn't quite feel the same when you wake up.
No, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'd rather remember the event than the hangover.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I mean, we were young and times were different, and it is what it is, man. So,
Absolutely agree 100%.
so where's the first time we ran into each other? See, I think it was in South Dakota
Well,
in the
the reason I
90s.
think that it's one prior to that is because I remember you saying a statement to me, I'm a whole lot different puller now than I was then. So I'm going to say that was the second time that we met at that Indian casino. But, we're talking, good Lord, that was
The 90s.
years ago.
It was like 1999.
Yeah, I came back in 2000, so it would have probably been right
Okay,
around 2000,
2000.
2001. Unreal.
Now, I won the left arm, I think, and you ended up in the final with Andy Fuller.
I did. Andy Fuller, the jacked up Barney Rubble.
Yes, and been arm wrestling for 20 years before we were ever around.
Oh, yeah. Andy was such an amazing guy. And I just, talking trash, already put first place on my shirt. It's just karma kicking my ass. You couldn't sit there and let Andy just hit on you, and I did. And pretty much ended my day. I ended up taking second place, yeah.
Okay, so here we are, fast forwarding. We're going all over the place. You have a pretty active career. Man, I want to talk to you about Arm Wars: The Gathering, because I was there.
But she was.
And I sat there and I watched the 25 restarts you had.
Here's the worst part of it. Well, I don't know how, because it's all sucks for Don Underwood. It is watching the comment section below that. Now, listen.
Now, we're talking about the last podcast, because you touched on this on Uncle John's, who's watching us right now, by the way.
8 pins. I pinned him 8 times. Now, you got a referee that's calling a win, and Neil Pickup in the background saying no. Now, he's saying, well, I'm watching the footage. Well, I watched the footage too, and it's very plain and clear that Devin drives his elbow off the front every time that I get an elbow foul. Where's his foul? Foul in a losing position. In my opinion, I beat him 8 times. Is what it is. It's history. It's got a lot of views. There's almost 2 million views on it.
But they didn't show everything.
I'd love to. I mean, I'm not a fan of Devin. I don't like his arrogance. I'd love to see him lose. It really tickles me inside to get the face I'm talking about. I get off on it. But like I said before, Travis is out there, Devin's out there, all these guys are out there, and they're building it up. We're starting to get all these people. Well, it's guys like you and I that, we're going to kick back here and we're going to step in the scene about time it makes sense, and we're going to show everybody there's a whole lot more people involved in this sport than those two. So I'm looking forward to the day that I get a hold of his hand again, and I'm really working hard for it. We'll find out this coming up event, man. It's got some strong hands to hold.
Yeah, and I remember you had one match with Yoshi.
It was, that was a good match. That was it. I'll tell you what, I still enjoy watching that. And you were in the crowd.
I was, so
Let me flip script, because I've always wondered what you guys as an audience thought when I yelled out, when you seen it. First of all, I think Yoshi was one of the ones they thought was going to win this thing. And then me doing what I did. And I remember looking over at that, you guys, and yelling something. You hear me now? Or I don't know.
Yeah,
what was your reaction to that?
Oh, man. I don't know if I expected Yoshi to walk through anybody in that class, in that field. I'd seen him arm wrestle a few times. I knew he was real tough. But, real tough at 240, not real tough maybe at super heavyweight. And then I knew you were fast. And, I mean, that's a serious weapon for a lot of guys, against a lot of guys like him. And I think it's the best weapon you can have against a guy like Devin Larratt.
Yeah.
It is the best weapon against Devin Larratt. So I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that his bicep tore.
Yeah, it wasn't never like to see pain and injury to people. Yeah, that was, that was a great match. Like I said, I think that I got enough blood and energy going to where I was really, really warmed up a lot.
Yeah.
And then Travis got him next. Travis just wasn't Travis, so really much stronger than him at that point. So going into Devin, literally, I was fresh.
Yeah.
And he pulled, Rich and Tim, and he lost to Tim once. So he was putting the work in, posed a little bit with Rich. He worked a little too hard that day, and didn't leave enough on the table. But when it all said and done, he still, gosh dang it, got us. So,
and I remember Bob Brown asking me, and he phrased it like this. He said, "Ryan, you're Canadian. Who won that match?" And I said, "Don Underwood won that match." And he threw up his arms and said something, and the fact he put a lot of stock in the fact that a Canadian would, not, I guess, lie for other Canadians, but I saw what I saw, and
right,
in the past, that's come back to bite me a little bit, even in the political scene of arm wrestling, where I got ran out of the North American Arm Wrestling League because I voted with the Americans once because I agreed. It was, yeah.
Well, hopefully a lot of that's gone, and a lot of it isn't. I think it's always going to be there. Opinions are opinions. Facts are facts. You can look at it and see that the better arm wrestler did not take that victory home. I think everybody on that stage watching agrees with you. Maybe I wasn't supposed to win. I'm sure that I wasn't the first one to. If you took a poll from everybody in the world and you put 8 of us on paper, I'm probably going to be your 8th pick. But again, like I said, we had a blast. I'll tell you what, the experience I'll never forget. Spending time with you guys on that roof was it's on par with winning the Arnolds. It was truly.
Now, I remember being at the Worlds a couple days before, but I also remember when we were at that hotel, I walked through that lounge and I spotted you in one of the little areas off of the casino, and we sat and had some good conversation for a little while. But that's another memory that is for us.
Yeah. Tell me where, and I tried to express just to the general public how intimidating it was. I don't know if it was for you as well, but for me walking into that lobby, the MGM, and seeing not only the press, but the talent, and thinking to myself, what in the heck, man? Nobody here thinks I'm going to win. What am I doing here in this company of greatness? Only to forget again that I'm pretty damn good at this. And what an exciting deal, man.
It threw me off.
Did you feel
completely.
The same way?
I felt the exact same way, and probably only in the last couple of years am I starting to get comfortable with an atmosphere like that. So in Moldova, I felt great, and there was press everywhere. I knew that people were watching at home. The cameras were on you. WAL, same thing. I'm starting to get used to that atmosphere. But I mean, the first time I experienced it was probably in Japan, and the camera's right in my face. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing?
Different world.
Here? Yeah.
You'll find out what you're made of when the camera's in your face, because that's one thing that I'm blessed to have been able to go through pro wrestling school and perform in front of people prior to me coming back to this sport. And during it, I retired in 2004, but that really gave me the confidence to speak in public and in front of cameras. And it's you, just like you said, it takes time. It's not something you're going to be charismatic from day one. If you are, wow, because I still get shudders from time to time, and I've been in front of thousands of cameras,
Yeah.
But eventually it just becomes second nature. It is what it is. But yeah, it's tough, man.
So we've gone on about history and we've talked a lot about it, but Now we're back. So we're back we're talking about TAL2. And then, well, first, let's back it up. The event a couple of weeks ago, what happened at that event?
Is that the one here in Kansas City?
Yeah, Kansas City.
I pulled a few. I had a super match with a really, really strong young man out of Louisiana named Ernie Thompson.
Who's a gigantic guy, if I'm not mistaken.
Big dude.
Yeah.
And, size doesn't intimidate me. I know that I'm large, but he's intimidating. He's 330 and in pretty damn good shape. Come to the table strong, man. Ernie felt good. I flashed him the first. I didn't try to turn on the jets. I hit him nice and easy and got him the first one. Second match, he's young in this sport. So let me tell you, a veteran can rattle you if you let him. And trust me, I did everything I could to rattle this young man. I love him to death, but he shoved side pressure on me, and I shoved it back real hard. He's basically saying, "Hey, fucker, don't shove side pressure on me because I got it too." And it opened up the door, and we put on a hell of a show. If you don't know me, I'm pretty good at this setup. I'm pretty good at the referees. I'm pretty good at, a lot because I've got a ton of experience. If you're a young guy in this sport, watch guys like myself and Ryan set up these events because, not always the strongest guy can win. I mean, this sport is technical. There's a lot of science in it, and I use everything I can. And I enjoyed rattling him. It made for a great, great match. I don't know if you got to see it. It was the second one, but he was genuinely pissed, and I was smiling inside big time. So,
yeah.
Hollywood showed up to round 2 on that one, and then ended up winning the tournament. I went through everybody. Good talent was there. Chance Shaw showed up. That guy out of Minnesota, Bergansky.
Oh, Andrew, yeah. I've arm wrestled with him.
Dude. You wouldn't think that guy was able to do that, Super nice kid, just massive hit. And it's funny, super fast. And you know me, I'm known as lightning in a bottle in this sport. And I hadn't really used my speed much, but with him hitting like that, he ended up beating Chance, which I thought was pretty impressive. So I wanted to test some speed. My timing's way off. I got false start, foul false start. Then had to let the kid hit, which he's got a ton of power, and went ahead and drug him on down. But, yeah, I got some speed still, man. I haven't used that until then. So thanks, Andrew, for coming and allowing me to practice what I hadn't practiced in a long time.
Yeah, Andrew's a great guy. I had a super match with him a couple years ago.
Shockingly strong.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Deceivingly strong. You never see it coming from him.
No.
We got a question in the comments section here asking about your views on your match, him and Larrett's match from 2012. When did you guys pull in 2012?
2000. Pulled in 2010.
That was the Arnolds.
And, we pulled in 11 on top of the MGM. I don't know that I pulled him in 12.
Okay,
I won ended up Bortolato took second to me at the Arnolds in 12. The only other time I pulled him was on Game of Arms Season 2, which nobody got to see. And I showed up on a bender. I ended up losing. So,
yeah, okay. So, Bindasar, you have to watch back because we already talked about that. So, back it up. Watch the whole thing, man. Now, you got coming up. You got a tough test in a week.
I hear that. I hear that a lot.
Well,
you've pulled him. I guess
I've never pulled him. Hutchings,
he's impressive. Never. I mean, he's done some things. I've watched so many matches with the guy, and I wish I could say that I'm not sure what he's going to do. So I'm going to do what I do, and hopefully it works. I know that I'm really, really strong. I'm fast. My hand and wrist is better than ever. Wish you the best of luck, Todd. I'm coming to the table with bad intentions, man. I'll shake your hand before. I'm sure we'll get pretty wild during the event, and hopefully we'll continue to shake hands afterwards. Win or lose, I'm going to have a blast. And thanks for the opportunity, Todd and TAL.
Yeah, I mean Hutchings, it's no secret. You're probably going to take his hand and wrist away from him a little bit. And, yeah, do what you're going to do. But I can't wait to see it.
Do you think he'll try to use side pressure?
Yeah, I think that's probably the odds on.
I've pulled every great arm wrestler on this planet at one point. I could start saying names. You're in the mix. It don't matter who you spit out your mouth as greatest of all time through our era. I've probably pulled them and beat them. It is no different. One thing for me is the experience factor. And Todd's in the same boat. He's done the same thing. He's traveled. He's pulled the vendettas. He ain't scared. He's calm, cool. Everybody thinks probably Todd's going to win again. I'm always the underdog, and they haven't seen me pull a bunch. I expect to go in there and put on a good show. If he's that much friggin' stronger than me, good for him. Because I'm not even anywhere near where I think I should be, or my coming out party is next year this time. So at World, that's kind of what my goals have been, and my plans were from jump. So I'm a little bit ahead of game. So if I get a win on him, good for me. So it ought to be interesting. It'll be fun.
So the plan is to go to the Worlds. Now, are we talking about the WAF Worlds or the IFA Worlds?
I don't any world championship that I can go to and hold a bunch of hands with some good arm wrestlers and just. I think it's the one in Orlando that got canceled last year. What's that one?
Yeah, IFA. So it's
that a big deal?
It's a pretty big deal, and I think it'll only get bigger with a year of COVID shutting everything down.
Yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, no, I'd love to go to a WAF as well. I don't have one of those titles. My world championships are probably not as prestigious as some. You have a WAF, that's kind of the pinnacle. Mine was Top Roll and Arnold's, and those were, tough to compete at. Top Roll was my company, and everybody from Ron Bath, Travis, Rich Lubke's. These are former holders of that, so we've had to go through and beat those guys to get it back. So the Top Roll's got some history to it. I carried that belt for a while. Corey West has it now, so he's definitely somebody strong.
Top Roll World Championship. Now, didn't Tim Bresnan try to get that one at one point?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, I think he would have won it because Tim has been one of the toughest opponents for me. His style and mine are just oil and water. He's just got so much back pressure, and it's hard to break him. The one win I got on him, he told me, "Hey Don, I don't have anything for you." I think we end up splitting the money for third or fourth, and of course I flashed him and wow, scream and holler, and I remember him trying to paddle my ass over that. Shame on me.
I think he said something about when he gets that belt from you, he's going to put a carriage or put a lag bolt through it into his wall, and you're never getting it back.
Well, I'll have to order another one. Won't be the first time.
Yeah, but, and I remember that. No,
they're nice, and it's a cool title. But the Arnold's, title, International World, I got two of those, and you don't get a whole lot bigger than that. Other than WAF, I think those are kind of on the same level. But yeah, man, I look forward to pulling a bunch.
I remember that company of yours because I remember I was looking through some photos when my second daughter was born, and I'm sitting there wearing a Top Roll T-shirt.
Well, we used to put a bunch of them out. We put some nice gear out, and we may end up doing something again in the future. Once I ran in World Arm Wrestling League, we tried to Steve tried to buy that from me.
Oh yeah.
Some guy out in Utah had a trademark on it in 10, and I didn't have the money to go to court, and he wasn't willing to do it. So yeah, man, if I could ever get that thing, I've got the proof that the trademark's mine or whatever, but I don't know. That's a lot of work, man. That's kind of on the back burner right now, but we're still putting on tournaments, and the belts are still out there circulated with some talent. So it's still alive.
So let's talk a little bit about World Arm Wrestling League. Yeah. The big sigh. I remember you were super involved in the early stages. You were on the committee. I remember you saying it on Uncle John's show. you parted ways with him at some point.
Yeah, I did my 2-year stint. Basically the game of arms. When I kind of fell out, it was just on accident. I was out, doing my own thing,
Yeah.
hiking, if you will. But during that time, when I come back, I was also keeping track and watching, and only to realize that he was controlling where these guys pulled. I know that at one point I wanted to go pull with Robert Drink, and he paid me a good chunk of money not to go pull with Robert Drink. And then he come to a point where he was fining and threatening a lot of the people with litigation if they did. And I mean, I'm going to try to keep it PG, but that pisses me off. Who are you? A guy that's never been in this sport. You've just been in it now for about 5 years, and you've done some good things. That's awesome, man. But to tell people that's been in it 20, 30, 40 years, hey, you can't go pull with your best friend's company because you signed a contract with me, rubs me the wrong way. And I just may be old school. You want to pay me amount of money that makes sense. That's a whole nother story, but you're not. I mean, you're not paying much at all. So, it's my opinion of it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if somebody tells me I can't, well, that's a whole nother situation altogether. So I just decided to part ways with him. I love what he does, and I'd be interested in pull with his company, but not strictly. I mean, I'd do it event by event.
I gotcha. Yeah. So that was gonna be my next question. Would you sign a contract, or would you just try to do
I don't think I would sign
events?
a contract with WAL unless it was very specific. I'm going to go pull at my buddy's event if they want me to come out. Being a celebrity in this sport, there's few of us anyway. But I enjoy going and meeting the fans and seeing the people that enjoyed the show and having conversations. And if I want to arm wrestle, I want to do that. For someone to say that I can't because for some reason I'm going to lose their company money, which I don't see how that's possible. For me to go pull somewhere, what kind of losses and damages am I going to accrue to your company? No. Yeah. So that's what people, I think, need to realize. Just because somebody says they're going to take you to court, they've got to prove their losses and damages. So don't be so afraid to go arm wrestle and do what you love, but just be cautious about what you sign. Again, I love Steve Kaplan to death, dude. I think he's a great dude. Spent many times with him, had many dinners. I think that what he's wanting to do is great. I just think that doing it in a different way, you might want to tell these people what's going on before they put that ink to the paper.
Yeah.
It would save you a lot of problems,
So is the Total Arm Wrestling League the future, you think, of with the way that Jeff's running things?
It's too soon to tell.
Yeah.
There's a big difference, I think, and I don't know Jeff's history and where he's from or what he does, but I do know Steve's history and what he does. So he's got a pretty thick checkbook.
Yeah.
I don't know how thick Jeff's is, and I appreciate Jeff and what he's doing. I think a lot of us would like to think that, let's give it a shot. That's your money.
Well, the interesting thing is that Total Arm Wrestling League comes along. They're paying guys, a fairly good amount of money to arm wrestle, stuff that we haven't seen event over event. We get the odd one-off where you're getting paid well to do an Arm Wars or a WAL. But, I mean, the other thing that Jeff's doing is really taking advantage of, the fact that there's no left arm league, no left arm in the World Arm Wrestling League in any meaningful capacity. So he can still put on marquee matchups and throw the odd one in there. And when you have a guy like Don Underwood floating around that isn't under contract, well, then you can bring somebody in that is under contract and have them arm wrestle.
That's just fuel for my fire.
Yeah. So you can.
I really do need to. I need to show up and put on a good event on the 5th for my own. I am going to. Well, the plan is to dig deep and find what I used to find deep inside those dark places that I have, and find that adrenaline button and push it. And that's one of the things that I think that I was successful at. And I don't know if you understand what I mean by that, but looking into
I
somebody's
understand
eyes.
what you mean, but try to explain it to the rest of the people
Well,
watching.
finding
Yeah.
anger. It's like when I arm wrestle you, I care for you. Okay, Ryan, you are my friend. We've got history. I love the fact, hey, you know, that kind of joy. But when you become an opponent, you have got to find something or create something that that person has done to you, or something that will open up an adrenaline door and let the flood, it pours open, and your body will change, and you will feel the tingle and the, you know, just and if you can open that door, you're going, like you said, you can lift a car because of adrenaline. I mean, it does open up straight gates. And I used to use that. If you notice, if you're watching the old videos, I'm slap me, bam. I got people, you know, getting it right now. So yeah, I'm going to try to find some things that worked for me in the past. And it is part of Hollywood and who he is, because I want to be seen, you know, I want to be noticed, but I want to win doing that. So I'm going to do my best to put on a good show for TAL too.
We're all looking forward to it, man. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Some arm wrestlers go to some pretty dark places to bring those things up. The first time I really experienced it from someone across the table it was shocking to me, because I was arm wrestling Marcio, who is just about the nicest guy you'll ever talk to or ever meet.
Unbelievably fantastic fella.
And then all of a sudden, he wanted to murder me, you know, and he went to that place quickly, and it kind of took me off guard a little bit because of the aggressiveness that he was displaying in that match. But I appreciated it because it opened up a whole different world a little bit for me. And psychology is a humongous aspect to this sport.
Agreed.
Yeah. So not to look past Toddzilla, but I mean, what's the future hold beyond? You got anyone that you would ideally want to have across the table from you? Is Devin Laird a guy that you would want to pull?
Oh God, I'd love to slap that lady around. Yeah, you know, again, from the time that I first pulled Devin, and I've always got along with Devin. I remember pulling Devin in Finland in 2000 after the tournament, and just pulling him around like a chick, and he did very well that day. But Devin, I reach up and touch his hand. He don't touch my hand. And fuck you. Excuse my language. It's early. But listen, I'm a different dude face to face, man. I'll headbutt you in your face if you get in mine. You hear me? That's the kind of guy in life that I live. So he kind of made it personal from square one and made it easy for me to dislike him on the table. So that's probably not your best decision to do with a guy like me that strives off adrenaline anyway. Now I want to rip your head off. So it helped me, you know. So yeah, anytime I can get a hold of Devin, yeah, I want to fight that guy on the table anytime. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Anyone else you got your eye on? Because I assume you're going to be on the card a few times. Like, Jeff is not going to forget Don Underwood when he's making these cards in the future. And no matter what happens in a week, you're going to find yourself probably in a match shortly thereafter.
Well, there is a guy, a real big dude. He's won some WAFs from Canada that took second to me at the Arnold's in 2010. That I bet you he'd love to have another shot at Don Underwood. So
you're damn right I would.
We can figure out who that guy is. Let's make that happen in the future.
Yeah, I hear he would like that shot. I've never said that though. I've never called you out, but
no, you haven't. But God, hey, listen, I understand, young man. Come on and get you some. I'd love to do it again with you. You were strong then, and I know you're stronger now, and I think people would like to see that one too. So yeah.
So you got. I know you got to be in a meeting in a few minutes. I'm going to close this off by reading you one thing that is on the Roger Learned. He says, a little late to the party, but just wanted to say good job on concerning your demons, Don. I've been on that path in life, and it was a hard habit to kick. More power to you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, that's anybody ever has an issue. Just remember this world that we live in, as crazy it is, it's a family. And I've had so many people offer, and thankfully I've been able to do it without rehabilitation centers and this. I just had more purpose and important things in my life that I felt like meant more. So find a purpose, find something that means everything to you, and work hard every day to achieve being successful in that. And I think you can beat it. So thank you, everybody. Ryan, you're the best, man. I look forward.
Thanks,
are you going to
brother.
be in Boise?
I am not, because Canada is a shit show as far as COVID goes, and I can't afford
a shit show regardless.
I can't afford to, I can't afford to quarantine for 2 weeks when I get back.
I hear you, brother.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for having me this morning.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you, and best wishes in a week, man. I'll be watching.
I look forward to it, man. Hey, take care.
You as well, brother.
Ah!
Nice.
Have a good one, brother.
See you, buddy.